Don lives in Gardner, Montana, and he's developed a way to talk to hell.
Some grape juice, a spray bottle, and some black snot. Interesting. Not everything has to be a murder, nor the grainy footage capturing someone's final moments, for it to be really, truly disturbing. This video is one of the worst things that I have ever seen, and I've really seen some crazy f***ing things, trust me. This unearthed VHS tape shows a man named Arthur Bloom. It is from the glory days of public access TV, a segment on a show called Something's Happening. He has found a cure for a problem that I'm sure is plaguing us all, the problem of toxic mucus. I mean, I can't really describe what you're about to see. It's bad, and you have been warned.
Grape juice. This is what we use to extract the mucus. I'm going left and right inside the mouth, left and right, and this is liquefying this mucus, just liquefying. Can you believe that this is liquid mucus? The first time in history of the world that a new substance had been found in the mouth. This could probably stop babies from having birth defects. Remember, this was in my mouth only 10 minutes ago. Now watch this. We're going to burn this. We're going to put this on this rock. Now we're going to use the torch. We use the butane torch. It takes a lot of heat to make this burn. Now watch it burn. Watch it sizzle. Watch it sizzle. If that's not fat, what is it? If that's not fat, doctors, what is that? Now see the flame. You see the toxic air backfiring? That's toxic air burning. Please believe me, the world is dying. The world is being killed by this stuff.
The YouTube channel Vinduma contains only 4 videos, uploaded between 2009 and 2011. On the surface, it looks like an abandoned collection of low-quality clips, probably from Brisbane, Australia. But one upload gives the entire channel a much darker atmosphere. The video is titled "Following a Teeny Bopper Home." Its description simply reads, "He was very scared, LOL." Filmed at night, it shows a young person walking along a main road, while the camera follows from a distance. The person appears to notice that they are being watched. They then suddenly begin to run away, fast, across a road. I think it looks like they timed it so that a car passed behind them, separating themselves from the watcher. Rather than calling out or explaining exactly what he was doing, the filmer retreats into the darkness behind a sign. The recording abruptly ends there. That abrupt ending is what really adds to the mystery of this whole thing. Did the person escape? Did the filmer stop following? Or did whatever was happening continue beyond the camera's view? The other uploads strengthen the impression of someone who preferred to remain outside events, silently observing.
Do you feel anything, baby?
One shows students apparently messing around, maybe in class or maybe as part of pre-drinks. It's kinda hard to tell.
Alright, tomorrow tonight. See you, my mum. What, sister? Huh? I'll see you tomorrow tonight.
Another captures 2 girls in school uniforms singing and joking. Even footage from an above and beyond performance at Brisbane's Family nightclub on September 16th, 2011 feels strangely detached, filmed from within the crowd without interaction. There is no evidence that anything criminal happened, and the uploads may have perfectly innocent explanations. Context from nearly 2 decades ago is almost completely absent. But looking only at what remains online, the channel creates the deeply uncomfortable image of a watcher, someone who films, follows, and disappears without ever explaining why. On the 28th of April 2000, 22-year-old diving instructor Yuri Lipsky entered the Blue Hole near Dahab, Egypt, carrying a camera mounted to his helmet. The site is a vast underwater sinkhole descending into darkness beside the Red Sea, and it had already earned a grim reputation among divers. Lipsky intended to film its famous underwater arch. An experienced technical diver, Tarek Omar, had reportedly warned him that attempting it safely would require specialist training. Lipsky had only a short time in Dahab and entered the water without it. The recovered footage begins as an ordinary dive, but Yuri soon separates from his companion and starts descending far too quickly. The water grows darker, the surface disappears. His breathing becomes the only human sound as the depth continues to increase. By the time he reached the seabed more than 100 meters below the surface, escape was no longer a simple matter of swimming upwards. At that depth, breathing ordinary air can cause severe nitrogen narcosis, producing confusion, panic, hallucinations, and dangerously impaired judgment. The pressure itself also makes every attempt to regain control more difficult. The camera shows Yuri trying to inflate his buoyancy compensator, but he does not rise. He is alone on the bottom, surrounded by darkness, with no visible route back and nobody close enough to reach him. Eventually, in a state of apparent panic and disorientation, he removes his regulator. Tarek Omar recovered Yuri's remains the following day and found the helmet camera still intact. Yuri's own mother later watched the recording, something that is almost unfathomable. Perhaps it gave her closure, or a strange sense of comfort. Who knows? The footage is almost unbearable. Above the surface, the world continued normally. Beneath it, one man was falling farther from light, farther from help, until there was nowhere left to go, and no way back. Just a quick one. For some reason, my videos are normally seen by just 1 to 2% of my subscribers. I actually don't know why. Regardless of the reasons, it's making it extremely challenging to keep this show on the road. And I promise I don't like to do this. It makes me feel like Oliver Twist or something. But please do consider becoming a channel member. There are currently 343 of you, and I'm aiming for the crazy goal of 1,000 by the end of 2026. You get things like early access to videos, our behind-the-scenes podcast, and of course my eternal gratitude. Thank you, and I love you all. Now, back to the video. On the 15th of January 2023, Yeti Airlines Flight 691 departed Kathmandu for Pokhara with 68 passengers and 4 crew members on board. It was a short domestic journey, made in clear weather, and the aircraft was already descending towards a recently opened international airport when passenger Sonu Jaiswal began live streaming from inside the cabin. Sonu was traveling with 3 friends. In the recording, he turns the camera towards himself and smiles. Other passengers sit quietly behind him. Sunlight fills the aircraft, and through the window, buildings and roads pass beneath the wing as the plane approaches Pokhara. Nothing in this Facebook livestream suggests that every person being recorded has only moments remaining. The change is almost instantaneous. The cabin begins to shake. Screaming is heard. The picture violently overturns, and then the camera is engulfed by flames while the live stream continues recording. Everyone aboard Flight 691 would not see another day. The aircraft came down beside the Seti Gandaki River, between Pokhara's old airport and the new airport it had been attempting to reach. Ground footage showed the plane flying with its nose raised before banking sharply to the left and disappearing from view. It was Nepal's deadliest domestic aviation disaster and the deadliest recorded accident involving an ATR-72. Investigators recovered both flight recorders the following day. Their findings revealed that the aircraft's 2 propellers had entered a feathered position around 1 minute before impact. Feathering turns the propeller blades, so that they produce minimal resistance when an engine is no longer operating. It is useful during an actual engine failure, but on Flight 691, both engines were still functioning. With both propellers feathered, however, they were producing effectively no thrust. The error appears to have occurred when Captain Anju Katiwada, who was flying the aircraft, requested that the flaps be extended. Captain Kamal KC, who was monitoring the flight and providing instruction, apparently moved the nearby condition levers instead. Although the controls were differently shaped and operated, they sat beside one another on the center pedestal. The cockpit voice recorder captured the crew completing landing procedures without recognizing what had happened. Captain Anju stated twice that the engines were producing no power. The pilots pushed the power levers forward, eventually selecting maximum power, but the incorrectly positioned condition levers remained unnoticed. By then, the aircraft was low, slow, and committed to its approach. Without thrust, it lost airspeed. Its nose remained high, the left wing dropped, and the plane entered an aerodynamic stall, too close to the ground for recovery. The final investigation found that the misplaced levers were the immediate cause, but the disaster involved more than one isolated mistake. The flight had changed its intended landing direction shortly before arrival, creating a shortened approach. The aircraft did not meet normal stabilization requirements. Investigators also identified a high cockpit workload, inadequate training, poor crew coordination, failures to follow standard procedures, and a lack of sterile cockpit discipline. The approach was also being used as an unplanned training opportunity. Captain Kamal had landed on the new runway only twice before and had decided to familiarize Captain Anju with it during the flight. Tragically, Anju's husband, who had also flown for Yeti Airlines, had lost his life in another company aircraft accident in 2006. She had continued her own aviation career afterwards and was reportedly close to qualifying as a captain. Sonu's recording does not capture any of the technical nightmare unfolding inside the cockpit. From the cabin, everything still appears totally ordinary. The passengers cannot see the lever positions. They cannot know that the propellers are no longer producing thrust, or that the crew are attempting to understand why the engines are not responding. They are simply sitting in their seats, looking through the windows and waiting to arrive. Then the ordinary world vanishes in an instant. There is no gradual understanding and no meaningful time to react. One moment is sunlight, conversation, and a normal man filming his journey. The next is confusion, screaming, and fire. In that moment, Sonu's place in the world changes, and he is now an entry in a very, very dark area of aviation history. In February 1996, Brazilian television reporter Lacia Martins was covering the annual Grape Festival in Caxias do Sul. It was raining, he was holding a wired microphone, and directly in front of him was an illuminated metal display containing an enormous bunch of grapes. Nobody had warned him that something inside the display had gone dangerously wrong. They probably should have, as rain and electricity do not go together.
This is a grape, a new variety, and here is Ruby, which is a mutation of the Italy grape.
These are mostly table grapes. Here next to it there are Pederneras here, for example. There's... Oh!
What's that?
Help here. We'll be back shortly with sports.
The moment Lacia touched the wire that was supporting the grapes, approximately 220 volts traveled through him. He was thrown backwards, briefly lost consciousness, and fractured a rib when he hit the ground. That backwards fall may have saved his life. Lacia later explained that had he collapsed forwards, his hand could have remained locked around the electrified wire. Instead, being thrown away from it broke the connection. What eventually became one of Brazilian television's most famous viral clips had come remarkably close to recording a man's final moments live on air. The precise electrical fault was never publicly established, but the metal frame display had apparently become energized. The wet conditions and the grounded microphone in Lacia's other hand may have provided electricity with a particularly effective route through his body. Lacia simply reaches towards some grapes during an ordinary television segment, and within a fraction of a second, the situation becomes potentially and very nearly fatal. It is an uncomfortable reminder that life does not always provide a dramatic build-up. Sometimes the distance between an unremarkable moment and the possible end of everything is no greater than reaching out and touching the wrong object. Thank you so much for watching. I'm uploading daily true crime and dark content here on this channel, so make sure that you're subscribed, hit like on the video, and also drop a comment so you get shown more of my stuff. Please do be careful out there, and I'll see you tomorrow.